Well, it's that time, everybody. We're gonna get paint on this thing. So here's what I've done. I kind of got the gap here done, so I know what I need to do. But before you do that, here's the most critical part of this. These two have to line up. So the pontoons and the hood have to be in line, and then you gap back into here with this. Because if you don't, if you get that messed up back into here, when it comes time to do this, if this is too far forward, too far back, it's going to be a major pain to change that, because this is all attached to the body. And there's just not a whole lot you can do with that. So I'm going to kind of follow this along here, and I'll show you what I'm going to do to finish this up. I've put some more spacers. I've got the hood almost level into here. It's still a tad low, but it feels pretty good. Now it's a tad high right into here, so I'm probably going to have to put some body filler from here to probably about here and float it back, because it's just a tad high there. I don't think I'm going to take it down, but it did lift this gap up, so now I'm looking pretty good on this side. I can just bring this over that way a little bit, and this should be pretty good. And it actually sucked this back too a little bit, so I'm probably going to have to sand this down a little bit. I'll make that a little bit thinner. I'll block that out. But other than that, the fit is looking pretty good. I said I gotta still cut the gap. Can't do it because my son's got his Mustang out there. I don't want to make a dusty mess. I'm gonna have to tarp this whole thing, but let me show you exactly what I did. This thing does not like to open from the driver's side for some reason, so only the passenger side actually wouldn't open because I had the latch locked. So what I did is I put a couple of spacers. Hopefully you guys can see this, just to raise the bumper up a little more. And I'm probably going to add another couple of bumpers, maybe another one over into there, or maybe another one into here. Figure it can't hurt to get this thing up and more supported. I think that'll be a little bit better. So we're going to keep playing around with this, see if we can get the gaps spot on, and then we'll trim back the gap when I get a chance to get the grinder out. So follow along, we're getting this thing ready for paint. Piece of 1/2 inch masking tape that got me to this edge right here, and then from here I'm going a little 1/4 inch back, so that's gonna get me a little less, 3/16 of an inch, because I'm leaving the little gap on all the tape. It's gonna get me really close. So you can see back in here, this is what the gap is gonna look like. I'm trying to go a little bit wider gap so I get a little more airflow up through here, because I don't think I'm gonna put vents, but we'll see. But this is the way I kind of gap things. I use tape, should match up with this really good. So we'll do this first, and then we're going to start dealing with down into here and getting all that lined up. And then once that's done, then we'll start getting some of this, which this has got to be trimmed up. We got to gap this all the way across, but that's going to be a little more of a headache because there's really no sharp edge there. You've got that thing that wraps around. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that one yet, but we'll get there. We'll start here, get this gapped, as you can see, so I can pull this off now. And then when I lift the hood, I'll mask everything off, or not mask it, but I will drop plastic over everything, and I'll just grind to this blue edge. And that'll get me 3/16 of an inch. I can check it with a caliper to make sure, but pretty close. This kind of gives you an idea how I gap things. We're going to start the body work. So as you can see, I've got my line I'm going to grind to, set up on the hood. Hood's propped up, the whole car's covered, because this is going to make a dirty, messy crap. Have to fill all this later. So I got my 7-inch grinder down here. It'll make quick work. I'm going to go just to the edge of the blue, leave a little bit, and then we'll kind of curl it up underneath to give it a nice finished look. And then we'll go through with a block and finish it off after we make sure it closes and the gaps look good. So we'll get started. So we're going to kind of put you on my head, and we'll just show a little bit of this, because I got a respirator I got to wear too. I gotta apologize to everybody. I've been working without videotaping. Sometimes I just get in the mode where I just want to work, because it slows me down so much to videotape. It's not as efficient by any stretch of the imagination. So as you can see, I've got a good chunk of the nose. This is probably 25% of it, maybe 30% of it. This side blocked out. I got the gaps all set up, and I even adjusted this pontoon, which the driver's side, no problem. As you can see now, it looks darn good. I'm not using... Factory 5's got those pins that go up and down that lock in. I'll probably put those on later. Right now, what I do is I'm bolting it to the aluminum. It doesn't say to do that, but then it locks it right into place. I'll throw the pins in later because that'll totally lock it in. Yeah, and that'll keep this thing totally lined up. So I'm going to do that later. We'll put those pins in once I get this thing all set up. So I'm going to continue blocking today. I'm going to try to show you what I'm doing and what else I'm going to do. I got to get the other pontoon on the passenger side going, and it's not going to line up very well. I think I'm going to have to cut a piece out of this and then glass it back together to get it to line up like this one. Because this one here, just this side looks really good. The gaps are nice and even. Yeah, impressed with this side. So as you can see, I got the headlight covers off. I got the rear quarter covers off. I'm going to start slowly stripping the car down as much as I can and still make it street legal. Because I said I'm going to pull this hood off and hopefully get this thing primed, blocked, and painted within a few days. And then back on the car. And then I'll worry about the rest of the body down the road. So I want to get the hood painted and see if I like the color first. One of the things I've always done with cars, paint them, drive them with the hood colored, and go, do I really like it? So follow along the rest of the time here, and we'll see if we can get that other pontoon done. I'll show you what I'm going to do with that, and we'll go from there. Thanks. So driver's side, gaps look good. Now we'll go over to the passenger side, show you what I got. This is where it gets ugly. So you can see, tighter than hell here, looser than hell here. So I'm thinking I'm going to have to start cutting this somewhere into here, all the way down, all the way around, and then glass that whole thing back together. I just don't see another way to do this. I'm going to unbolt it from my plate, see if I can shove it down, but I don't think it's going to go down. It's just, yeah, not going to happen. So I think I'm going to have to cut and reglass this thing. I'm also going to have to, since the hood is almost where it needs to be, just a tad high, I could drop it down a hair. It's just, yeah, this side's not going to be as easy as the driver's side. So follow along, see what we can do. So I got this actually pretty darn good now. Still a little low here, good here. And here it's like, not much I can do here. I mean, I could start floating this and make this angle, but that's gonna be way too much work for a, street car. This here gap looks really good. I'm really good. It gets a little tight right up in here. So I'm gonna see if I can sand some of this out. It's pretty darn close, but I honestly think this is gonna have to be cut. I tightened the latch down to fill up this gap. This gap's still a little large, but I'll just a touch of body filler into here. Yeah, but other than that, I think the hood is about ready. So I'm gonna start blocking this thing out, show you guys what I've got. So we're gonna cover the whole car up with plastic and a drop cloth and see if we can block this out. And I'm gonna focus on see if we can cut a little bit off of this front. But other than that, it looks pretty darn good. Perfect no, but this is gonna be a nice looking car. Got the car all covered up, as you can see. So I'm going to see if I can take a little bit out of this front because it's not quite level here. So if I take a little bit out of this, a little bit out of the pontoon, I might open that gap enough. And then we'll lower the hood. I got a blanket on top of the engine to keep the hood partially up, and we'll start blocking. See, so if you look, you can see this whole section was high. So I'm going to keep cutting this till I cut into that glass. So you guys can see this now. There's still plenty of thickness there, but at least took some off, so get a little more gap. So now we'll go down here to the pontoon. Okay, so I'm gonna say that's probably good. Okay. So hopefully that gives me a little bit more clearance. So now we're gonna shut this down. It's gonna lay on the blanket. Okay, so I need to open this up just a hair. Video 1 of paint body work, we're gonna stop it here. I've got a lot more to show. I'm trying to break this down step by step so that way if anybody wants to learn how to do this, we can get it done. So we'll call this paint body work video 1. There'll be number 2 right behind it. I'm gonna get the nose off and we'll follow along and that way you guys can see where we're at. So probably 3 or 4 videos, probably at least 3 on painting of the nose. We'll see how we end up. So I always, it just slows everything down by videotape, but I try to get it all out there and help anybody out. So thanks again for watching. Hit subscribe, hit like, and we'll see you on the paint and bodywork video number 2, which hopefully will be a few days after this, since I basically hoods and primer now. And I'm probably going to try to get it painted here in the next week. Depends on how my shoulder holds up for blocking it out. So be ready. Thanks.